Hello, everyone, once again. Let's see if some other people will join a little bit later, but I think we can start now. So welcome to today's webinar, which is devoted to the best practices and useful tips for how to create guidance content in a simple, user-friendly and effective way. And I will now ask my colleague Guido to introduce himself, and then I will continue with the presentation.
Hello, everyone. Sorry. My name is Guido Pifferi, and I am product manager and UX designer at Newired. Welcome, everyone.
Thank you. And now I will introduce myself. My name is Katerina Polachova, and I am working as a customer success and QA specialist at Newired. In the scope of quality assurance, I am responsible for the testing of the new features implemented into our product. And as a member of customer success team, I do the live demonstrations of our product to the customers. So what will be the agenda of today's webinar? Introduction we have already done, introduction of the people who will be presenting today. And in the next slides, I will continue with the general introduction of Newired as a company. And I will introduce also our solution, what we are doing. And then we will move to the more practical part of our webinar, and we will be showing examples and useful tips and best practices for how to create the journeys, how to create the simple and user-friendly content. And at the end, there will be also space for your questions. So Newired is a company which was established 7 years ago and has teams in Italy and in the Czech Republic. And we focus on digital adoption platform or digital adoption solution. What does it mean? This is a complex guidance solution which is deployed directly in the target application. This kind of guidance allows the users to interact with the guidance directly in the target application, really close to it. So it means the users are doing learning by doing, which is really the most effective way of learning how to work with some application. And as I already mentioned, this way of guidance is really very effective because the users, for the whole time they spend with the training or onboarding processes, they really touch the target application using the interactive guidance, which even can be available in more different languages. And this way of guidance helps to improve the user experience, the user productivity very quickly and very effectively. And what is also important to mention here that time spent on support, for example, for the newcomers who are trying to learn with some application, is reduced significantly when using our solution. Because the users, the learners, can do many actions independently using the guidance, and they are not forced to ask the colleagues to raise some support ticket. Now we have moved to the practical part of our webinar.
Hello, everyone again. So now we will see actually what are the basic building blocks of Newired. So the core of Newired guidance are journeys. So what is a journey? Journey is an interactive step-by-step guidance that will help your users to onboard in your web application, to learn advanced processes on it, or to stay up to date with all the changes that they may encounter in time in your web application. Basically, Newired has 3 kinds of steps that can form a journey. So let's have a look at them. The first one are dialogues. So dialogues are our basic kind of bubble that will appear on screen to your users as an overlay to your web application. So they actually will appear at the center of the screen and will prevent any interaction with the target application. They are so-called non-contextual. So it means that they don't need to refer to any element on the web application. They just stand there and catch all the focus of your users. So they are forced to read what's written inside them and go through the guidance. What they are good for? So they are good for welcoming as a first step of your journey. They are good to create introduction for your journeys or to deliver a lot of crucial information in one place if they cannot be spread differently. Then the second kind of step that can build a journey is the callout. So the main difference between dialogues and callouts are the fact that callouts are contextual. So they need to be like attached to a specific element on the web application. For example, they can be attached to a button or to a text field, and they will always point toward that element. So what they are good for are push your users to interact with that specific element. The third kind of step that can make a journey then is the panel. So they will appear on the corner of your screen. So they are like, you can consider them as half contextual. So that means that they will not point to a specific element on your web application. They just will appear in the corner, but they will not prevent the interaction with the with your web application. So your users will be still able to click buttons, write things, and interact normally with your web application, while the panel will explain something to them in the corner of the screen. So they are useful to deliver like some generic contextual information for a specific view of the application. For example, they can explain what's inside a full page without preventing the interaction with it. And they are also good for delivering a lot of information while your users, as I said, are still interacting with your web application. So when they need some support, that is always on the screen on need. So those were the three fundamental elements that can be used to create a full journeys. Then I would like to mention also like what I like to call my our jolly bubble, that is the tip. So the tips are actually external to the journeys. They are sort of callouts, so they are contextual bubbles that can be attached to the elements or to custom icons that you can customize, and they will appear on screen when the user place the cursor over them, or when you decide that they should appear. So they always appear on that specific page depending and showing themselves depending on the settings you decide. What they are good for? So they are good for delivering some contextual information about specific elements on screen, delivering information that can be that can be shown just when the user needs them, and then also to create wordings. So for example, you will find among all the icons that you can set for a tip also the warning icons. So you can really create warning messages that will appear when you decide. So let's jump now to the best practices about content creation with Newired. So the first really basic tip that I would like to address is to always keep title concise. Basically, I'd like now to talk a little bit about the structure of our bubbles. So they have at the top of the bubble, you can find a big title, and below you can find body text, my recommendation is to always keep your title consistent and leave all the big part of the information that you would like to deliver to the body text. And also, if you need to have a long title, please avoid to wrap in the text if possible. The second tip that I would like to deliver, the second best practice is dedicated exclusively to callouts. So remember that their main purpose is to push your users to do something with a specific element on your web application. So it's always better to write the requested action, so the action that you want your user to perform with that specific element directly in the title, with any further information given if they are not needed. So for example, if you want a user to click a button, just write click here on the title, and if you want to say something more, just leave it for the body text, so the text that is below the title. The next best practice that I would like to show is about how to deliver the information you need to deliver throughout your journey. So this is especially valid for dialogues and panels, so the steps that usually host the most quantity of information. So the suggestion is about always keeping body text succinct and informative. So try to make your body text at least a few words long, but no more than few sentences. If you need to deliver a lot of information, split them in several steps, and be careful also with the usage of the bold text. So to use bold text to highlight just the very important elements of your steps, not like every step, not full sentences, just the key, just the keywords. And this actually leads straight up to the next tip that speaks about delivering your information gradually and contextually. What does it mean? So, as I said, if you have a lot of information to deliver throughout your journey, try to split all the information in small chunks that will be read by your users step by step by step, and try not to miss the context you are speaking of. So, for example, try not to talk about any element that is not present and visible on the screen at that very moment. So always be aware of the context, the information you just trying to deliver. I have problem with my headset, sorry. Okay, they are back. Let's go on. So the next tip is about some visual consistency, and speaks about using a consistent width for bubbles, especially for journeys that include many steps. So try to remember that Newired step sizes can be customized as you wish, but also some predefined sizes that you can pick and that will help you to be consistent, visually consistent throughout your journey. So try to pick one of those and keep it for the whole journey. The next tip is again dedicated to callouts, especially for the ones that point to a tiny element. For example, that a button or a checkbox or all the tiny elements that your web application may present.
Okay. I will show my editor. I hope it's visible to you. And I will show the last 2 points mentioned in the presentation, my video, which were related to the callout attached to the specific button, so that it's not covering the button, and there was also the width of the bubble. So regarding the good width of the bubble, I can show you, for example, one bubble, which is dialog, and you can see that you can edit the size of the bubble, and it's important to adjust it so that it really fits to the text which is inside, because if you change the size to smaller, you can see that it's really not good. It has to be really like adjusted, but this is also, it's too big and there is too much empty space, so it's really fine to adjust the width, the size of the bubble based on the content which is inside. And the next thing, which is related to the callouts, I can show you. For example, this is important, especially if the buttons or the elements where you want to attach to your callout to, if these elements are, for example, in some corner places of the application of the screen, there might be sometimes the problem that it will be covering. So you need to really choose the right position of the callout. I will show you. For example, if I attach the callout here to this, if I want my user to click this create button, and if I will be changing the position, for example, I would like to put it up so that the bubble is above the button, then I can see that it's not good. I cannot do it here in this specific place because this I have not enough space here for the bubble. So I really need to adjust it so that it's not covering the element. I have to adjust it so that it's really well visible for the users. So now I am passing word back to Guido so that he can continue with the slides.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so back again. So now we are approaching some, I would call it like advanced tips to create content with Newired. So in order to introduce the next tip, that's, as I said, actually is a little bit more advanced than the others. I need to speak quickly about transition before. So what is a transition? A transition basically defines the behavior of your guidance between two steps. Like, for example, the action of the user required to jump from a step to the following one. There are many transitions that you can choose. For example, you can choose the click transition that imply that your user must click on a specific element in order to proceed. That is usually the transition that you will use with your clouds that, as I say, they're attached to a specific element and try to force your users to interact with that specific element, and that interaction could be a click. Or, for example, you can pick the edit input interaction that will make your guidance wait for the user to write something inside a text field, and so on. You have many to choose from. So transition always depends on the context, but there is one particular transition that has a nice usage, and it's the next button click. So the next button transition, what does it do? What it does? So basically, when you pick the next button transition for a step, it will make appear a next button in your bubble that your users must click in order to proceed to the next step rather than clicking on any element on the web application. So what is the usual scenario in which you can use this? I suggest to use this transition on the so-called product tours. What are product tours? Product tours are that journeys that just want to give an overview of some parts or sections or features of your web application. Typically, in those journeys, you don't want users to interact directly with a web application because they don't know anything about it. They are still learning. So, but you want just to make them take a tour throughout the web application. So you can use this next button transition to push your users to not interact yet with a target with a web application, but just click on the next button, and then on the next button, and then on the next button, to have just an enjoyable trip throughout your web application. And there's one more setting that will help you do that. That is the so-called, and Katrina, maybe you can already show it. That is the force next button settings. And what it does? Basically, it prevents, it forces your users to click on to interact just with the guidance and not with the target application. So it will like disable it and will really make your users enjoy the journey through the target application. Yeah.
Yes, I can show. First, maybe I will show this kind of product tour journey, which was mentioned by Guido, which is good to be used with the next button transitions. This is, for example, our journey CRM overview, where this is really like product tour journey, which is telling the first information about the application to the users so that he get oriented what are the different sections of the application. For example, something like this, briefly described what is in each section inside. So this is really like no specific action is required by the user. This is more like informative journey for him. And about the force next button, I will show you. I have also one example here. For example, if I want my user to really continue, not interact anyhow with the target application, but really to click the next button so that he's really forced to do that, then I can, if I can show you, if I edit this bubble, it's this button, force click on the next button, and if it's set as on, then it behaves like this, that if user tries to, I'm trying to click somewhere else in the application and then I'm not able to move anywhere. The button is really like highlighted and I can see that I am forced to click the next button so that I can continue with the journey. So these are the points which Guido described and mentioned on the last slide.
Exactly. Thank you, Katrina. I can get back the presentation. Yep. So for the next tip, so this as well is a pretty advanced tip that we have today, and is about using a specific step action. So what are step action? First thing first. Step action are the custom action that you can like set after a step is played. So there are many of them. You can basically set, as I said, as the name itself suggests, an action that the web application will perform or the guidance will perform after a specific step is played. There are many of them, but we will focus on one that is called go to URL action. that basically will make your journey redirect to your web application to a specific URL, so a specific web address that you set. This redirect can be used to save some time for your user, and let's see how. For example, if you want them to navigate directly to a specific part of your application, skipping what's in the middle. So for example, if they already know how to navigate there and you just want to skip that part that they already know, and you want to focus in something really specific that is that will come in a specific moment throughout a process, you can jump straight to that point, skipping all the rest. Or another really advanced tip in which you can use this go to URL action is to create a journey that can seamlessly jump back to, for example, a home page after diving down deep in your application subsection. For example, you can show a full process that goes all the way through many subsections, and then you can redirect your users straight to the starting point. So they will not have to, for example, navigate back to your, I don't know, for example, a home page or a dashboard or whatever there's at the start of your journey. And that's for start again from there with a new process without having to navigate every time back. Katrina again will show you now how to use this go to URL action and where to set it.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so I have already one example prepared here. I can show you here if, for example, I want to attach or I need to attach the step action to some specific step. And after this step is being shown to the user, then after that, the step action will be executed. So I can set it here in this step action. And if I choose from these different types of actions, I have to choose this go to URL. I have to specify which is the URL where the user should be redirected. And I need to specify also some condition. And if this condition is valid, for example, if some element is present on the page, or if there are different types of conditions which I can use. For example, if I want to specify the user experience condition so that I know only some proficient or like more advanced users are already able to skip some actions and to go back to continue with this, then I can set the user experience condition, whatever. And when my condition is valid, then the action will be executed. So at this point of the journey, I have set the step action that the user is navigated back to the home page. This is the home page, so that he is not forced to search the way how to click back and back to the page. So I will show you how it behaves once this step is played, where the step action is set. I am now already in the opportunities section because I have already navigated through all of these steps, and I can see that I am redirected immediately or directly to the home page, and even there can be some other steps that continue, or there can be some new journey which will be navigating user to continue with some other steps. So this is how to set and how to use this go to URL step action. Yeah, that's it from my side. And now again, back to Guido, please.
Thank you, Katrina. Also consider also the opportunity to set for example, the skill property, the skill level of your user. And so, as Katrina said, you can directly send the most experienced one to the point that you want to be to experience something more advanced, and having also while having also the newcomers, the people that are not so experienced with the application, still going through all the the entire process. So that's a good combo to set. So those were the two main advanced tips for this webinar. So I would like to wrap up now the top 3 takeaways about I spoke today in today's webinar. So the first one is remember to deliver your information gradually and contextually. So it doesn't matter how many steps your journey had. It's okay to use multiple steps to deliver also just one concept or one information. You can split it through multiple steps. Actually, it is really better to do that and use your bold text with caution, because if everything goes bold, bold is no more. Highlight just the keywords that you want to highlight. And then, oh, sorry, okay. The second takeaway I would like to highlight from today is to use the callout in the way they're meant to use. So they should deliver just quick suggestion, quick actions to be performed with the specific element you selected to point at. So write directly the action you want your user to perform in the title. And then don't underestimate the power of product tours and the proper way to build them. I believe a good onboarding, a good onboarding to every web application should maybe start with a product tour. So to show around all the sections or the parts or the feature that a web application have without actually diving down on them. So leave the explanation for later. Just show the various section of your product and use the next button transition to do it. And if needed, use also the force next button to avoid your users to interact directly with a web application that they still don't know, to avoid they maybe make a mess. So we are at the end of today's webinar, and we have a Q&A time. So I will wait for your question and I'll try to answer them as best as possible. Okay, I already have one, I see. Okay, okay, so which is the ideal size for bubbles? Okay, so basically there's no an ideal size for bubbles. It depends on the context. Usually it's better to pick smaller sizes to avoid covering too much of the web application web view. So try to not to be too big with your bubbles. Consider also maybe the fact that users may have different screen resolutions. So in a smaller screen resolution, your bubbles will appear bigger. So you will cover much more web view over your web application. So yeah, this is a thing to consider. For example, with bigger screen resolution, as for example, graphic designers use, you can maybe pick some more bigger sizes for bubbles. But yeah, basically there's no one correct answer for that. You can really pick the size that you want without exceeding too much. I can see we are okay, already about 40 minutes deep in the webinar. So if there are no more questions, I think I can switch to Katerina to wrap everything up. And meanwhile, I'll thank you everyone for being with us. Enjoy the rest of your day.
Sorry, Guido, I can see one more question there. When can Spotlight be used?
Yeah. Okay. Now it
there is
appeared.
one
Yes.
more question.
Sorry,
Yes.
So Spotlight basically works a little bit as the force next button, because it forces the attention of your users in a specific element, and actually Spotlight will make the rest of the web application grayed out. So and it will highlight the specific element that you pick. So that is actually indicated for all the cases in which you want really to give strong, I mean really strong focus to an element on a screen without letting the rest of the web view of your web application interfere with the attention of your users. Darken out all the rest of the screen and just focus on that specific element and say something about it, or push your user to interact with it, or whatever you need to do. So that is the usual use case for the Spotlight feature.
Thank you all for your attention, and we hope it was interesting for you, and maybe hear you in another webinar next time again. So have a nice day, all of you. Bye.